Welcome, Dave King here at Triple Crown. We've got guests today with us from our staff, Stephanie Clevetter, our director of the 4th of July, and Allie Carter, both involved in the operation of our 4th of July events here in Colorado and throughout the country. And then we've got guests on the line tonight, panelists. You can see that we've got our masks on. I want you to understand that here in the state of Colorado, that indoors, in meeting without ventilation, we're regulated to wear them. We started outdoors with our masks on playing, and we've evolved now to where we can take those off to play and be around our team. Transitions, we have to keep them on. So there's hope in your governor's order yesterday to put the masks on you. There's a lot of hope in the process of starting somewhere and doing things right. Today our guests, we've got Coach Jeff Blanco, we've got AJ on, we've got James and Tony Rico on, and so we're going to kind of lead this around on the current status of travel ball in California. Thank you to the 500 some of you that answered this. You can kind of see the distribution. Those of you that were 14s, 16s, 18s, and then represented whole programs, gives us what we call a wide representation of the marketplace. And then what areas we're from. And so, I think this is probably a natural distribution of any call, but it shows that we have the different categories of the state represented in this research. And we're able to pull it out from the greater LA area or SoCal. I think that the first one is currently practicing, and I'm going to start it off with Tony and just say, Tony, is this you? Yes, full practices? Are you a no answer? Are you a small group answer?
Thanks for having us, Dave. We are having our first practice Saturday morning. So it's the first time since, January that we've been outdoors together. So we've got our coordinator ready to space everything out and kind of follow protocol. We think that's very important, but we are just hitting the dirt for the very first time in a very limited fashion.
Very good. AJ, where are you at with your team right now and in practice and what you're doing? Got to take it off mute there, boss.
Working on it, sorry.
Okay.
Hey, thanks for having us. We started last week with small groups. We can have up to 12 in a group plus coaches. We have an outdoor facility with about 7,000 square feet. So we split our teams into 2 groups, and we've been able to get in some work, mostly hitting, a little bit of pitching, some hand drills. But the fields are a little bit more difficult to get on. So we're happy to have a facility, but we're practicing in small groups.
And where's your facility located at, AJ?
We're right in the middle of San Diego, off of Miramar, right next to the base.
Okay. And you've got a progressive community stance right now, San Diego County trying to get you guys back up. Is that correct?
Yeah, we've had some great leadership from one of our county supervisors who's a real big backer of youth sports. And she did a hard push, and we got approved. And now it's just up to us to follow the rules. And hopefully her plan was that we would maybe be able to start scrimmaging within a couple of weeks.
Very good feedback. Jeff, from your standpoint, where's your facility located? Where are you training out of with your kids? And give us kind of an update of where you're at practicing.
Our facility is located in La Habra, California, and we started a couple weeks back, just small groups in cages, just 1 or 2 players in a cage at a time. We've had to really, do everything by appointment basis. Doing things a little bit different, trying to keep everything safe, keep it sanitized, having hand sanitizer available in the facility, keeping people spaced out. And then we started a couple weeks ago with some small groups outside working. We have a field where we have two diamonds, and we're able to keep kids spread out, do some drills and stuff like that. But yeah, just, trying to adhere to the protocols and the guidelines and trying to keep everybody as safe as possible is paramount right now.
Very good. James, give us where your facility's located, where you're training out of, and what's going on with you in practices.
We're Sun Cats, the Northern California. We're based in the southern part of the Bay Area of NorCal, in the Gilroy area, Gilroy and Morgan Hill. So we're about 30 miles south from San Jose, north from Salinas. We've been practicing for 3 weeks already. Full team practices. We've had up to about, I would say about 12 to 30 kids at our practices. Of course, we break them up into groups. We've been full force over here. There's a place in Modesto that has a private field. They've been throwing tournaments up here in Northern California. Not tournaments, but kind of like showcase games. And we've been doing inter-squad games at our facilities, actually at the public parks here in town. And I think where they're at right now, where I'm from anyways, it's kind of like the southern part of Santa Clara, because we're kind of isolated about 30 miles from the big cities. So we're pretty fortunate to have a couple of fields, maybe about 5 fields in the public parks. And we go to inter-squads, sanitation in the dugouts. The batters wear masks. People in the dugout wear masks. Same goes along in the Modesto area and those friendlies or showcases that they're having there. And there's up to about 24 to 32 teams in those events over there happening right now. So we're full board, man. We're competing and we're playing, and everybody's trying to keep their distance, of course. You run into some bumps and some people violating the distance or whatnot, but for the most part, all the adults there, parents, coaches, facilitators, they're all on to the kids and making sure they're keeping distance, and so there's accountability there. It's been turning out pretty good, and I believe that where we're from, we're in a gold mine, kind of, where we have a great opportunity to be able to inter-squad within our teams and practice, and that's how it's going over here. It's pretty exciting.
So that brings up the next set of data, and you kind of led us into it naturally, that 50% of you are no answer, you're not playing games. And then you've got some combination from inter-squad, 2-team matchups, league games to tournament games, and some variation of description of high protocol games. So, Tone, what's your take on this in Orange County proper, or where we're at there?
It seems like we kind of go back and forth a little bit here. The fluidity of the situation is still in full action. So, Dave, we've taken the approach, as I've mentioned before, to develop our players. For as much as we want to get out there, and right now we're living through all the videos and pictures that we see of the states that are out there. They're resuming to play, but we also know that there's some spiking going on. We're kind of watching what naturally is going to happen, but we have just taken it back and really trying to dial in an area. What we won't accept is not getting better in any capacity. So the challenge this year was something we'd never experienced before. We're just barely practicing. Every time we get a word that is close, and it might be this week, then the following week it's like we're farther back. So it's this accordion kind of thing. So try not to go crazy with it, and then I'm just waiting when they open the door, we're all going to kick it open and run out and play.
Okay, and so your expectation to return for you, Tone, would be to game. Just still uncertain to what will happen in Orange County game-wise?
Ideally, early July, realistically, mid to late July.
Okay. AJ, let's jump to you and kind of give me a take on where you're at with games, and if you're not playing, when do you expect to play?
Well, we have decided that, first of all, we need to get in softball shape before we really go and play any competitive games. So our goal right now is to get in shape, get in playing shape, and improve our skills. I think what Tony said is really true, and a lot of people out there want to go play games, but we need to take advantage of this opportunity to get better. So we have a unique opportunity right now for that. In regards to games, I'm with Tony. I think maybe mid-July, probably late July, there'll be an opportunity. I think we'll be able to start scrimmaging here, sooner. But those will be limited, kind of controllable type games. But, everybody wants to play games, and I understand that. But right now we're just going to make the best of the situation and practice and develop skills and find ways to get our players better.
Very good. Jeff, your standpoint, where are you at? Are you playing right now? And if not, when do you anticipate to start?
Same as Tony and AJ said, we're just kind of adhering to the guidelines and protocols of our local governments here, and we're actually gonna try to scrimmage a little bit this weekend, and controlled situations within our inter squad teams, and just try to get some semblance of getting back to game playing shape. But yeah, just like Tony and AJ, we've been doing a lot of developmental stuff, some one-on-one things in a safe environment, and then also over video, Zoom stuff, just trying to keep interacted with the kids, trying to keep them involved as much as possible. And so far, it's been really, really good. The kids have accepted it. They're itching to get out there and play, but our hands are tied right now as far as being able to go out and play real live games with umpires and things of that nature. So we're going to try to control it as best we can, and try to get some situational stuff in, and just get ready for when we are able to play, be as ready as possible.
I don't like to make opinion comments in these meetings, but I would tell you the observation in the state of Colorado has been that we didn't come open as soon as our neighboring states. And because of it, like Prohibition, teams organized and drove and went. And we have some outcomes that are not real good that came out of that, meaning they went out and played a 6, 7, 8 game weekend and came back, and now you have 2, 3, 4 players unusable for the rest of the season that weren't trained, weren't prepared. This is not COVID. This is just physically, now I can't play in your Colorado event that was well structured. I went out and swallowed the fire hose and completely, and so that's an editorial comment to each of you as this comes open. Be real careful that there's a reason why we practice, and then we scrimmage and then play a small schedule, and then a small schedule and a big schedule, is that it's sequentially ready for our athletes to execute. Sorry for the soapbox there, guys, but we're witnesses at firsthand. We lost 8 teams this weekend to play in Colorado who physically could not re-roster due to the fact that they had played their kids to 8, 10-game schedules that they weren't ready for. Biggest worries, according to you, it's interesting, you're a little different than the players. The players came back in their research and said it was my friends. Your perception of each of them says that the worries that you have about your parents and players or practicing is really big, playing games is big, the disease is big. I think in California these numbers are higher than we see other places because I think you're a little more aware of this process. But I'm gonna fire off with you, Jeff, on this. Your take on these concerns. Is this what you're seeing and feeling about concerns about your players?
For the most part, the players and the parents in our organization, for the most part, aren't as concerned, and they're really itching to get out there and play. But I know that we have to follow the guidelines. I know that we have to do things the right way, or we're going to risk even more setbacks. And so we're trying to do things the right way. We're trying to also adhere to their desires of wanting to develop and wanting to play and getting in game shape, and but do it in the right way. And I just try to get as much information as I can to try to make the best informed decision that's going to be practical and keep everybody as safe as possible. So far it's worked out really, really good. It's actually a good thing that the girls want to get out there and play, but someone's got to be the voice of reason too. And we have to do things the right way and make sure that we're, like you said, game ready, we're in shape, we're ready to go before we just dive into this thing, because more problems are going to occur that way.
I'm going to ask Steph.
A lot of people, Chattanooga, Houston, that are playing right now, and what is the mood you're seeing from concerns of teams that are already up and running, Steph, that are out there and they're playing? Do you see some of these same concerns of, are they past some of these?
I feel like the teams that we're talking to in Houston and in Tennessee are mostly past a lot of this, and their concerns are a little bit more driven by the events themselves and the normal concerns that you would have going out to an event.
And then we have got some concerns about the spikes in Houston, and how would you put those in your mind? If all of a sudden we were playing a tournament in Houston, have there been many comments, a few comments, a lot of comments? Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, we've had a few people ask about it. What I would say is that a lot of times it's teams that aren't coming to the events, actually, that are just wanting information. So, it hasn't been a ton of concern that way. And I think that we're all really working on getting everybody back out there and doing it safe.
Okay, I'm going to pull on down here to the next question about schedule, and I'll kind of lead you into this, AJ. Where are you at with the schedule right now?
Well, I'm looking at my schedule and it's a blank piece of paper because I don't know when we're going to play. Obviously, we look at some of the events that are scheduled and coming up, and we're penciling in to be in those events, but it's really hard to say. So every week, another thing gets crossed off the list. So we're trying to kind of work on what you talked about a while ago about plan A, plan B, plan C. And right now, I think we're very much in plan C, where it's let's get in shape, let's find some scrimmages, and when these do start to happen, then we'll figure out where we're playing. But it's really tough in California. We have no idea when we're going to play in any type of an event. There are some opportunities, like you talked about, going across state lines to places like Vegas and Reno and Phoenix. And, those might be some opportunities that we have to look at if we can't get games here in California, but that's not ideal. Arizona is a hot spot right now. So I'm looking at a blank piece of paper, trying to figure it out.
You, James, from your standpoint, you've got games going that in some fashion there. What does the schedule look like for you then?
It is still undetermined. It changes every week as well. It's very inconsistent. I tell our parents that we can only plan 1 week at a time, and there may be events coming up, maybe in a week from now that may change. So I just told them, hey, these are the weekends that are booked. Just prepare to go somewhere to play. But for the most part, it's just practice games, and the schedule is very inconsistent. So we're just asking people to be patient.
From your standpoint, what are you telling an organization of your size about scheduling in California?
Well, we had a general schedule planned, and again, ideally speaking, we lose one per week, it seems like. But since the beginning of this as well, we've wanted, as you said, to have a plan B, C, and D. So, it looks like, again, we're going to be falling back on those single games, the double headers, a lot of where we all started. So getting back and working within yourself, like you said, scrimmages, some inter squads, and then one team bringing in, keep those numbers low, and finding a way to get into some type of competitive space. We get so used to the amount of games that we're used to playing, and a lot of us carry some pretty large rosters, so it's a challenge. But it's just adapting to it, Dave. Whatever room they give us, we're going to create something in that room. So for me, single games, double headers, and whatever events happen to pull off, we'll slip into those, but we're prepared.
Very good. The next one's hard. Sometimes, people will I'll get accused of you're doing this because of money or something like that. And I have to remind people, this is our careers. We've made choices to be in it actively, all of us. And many more of you on this call are the same way. And so the financial model right now is real tough for all of us. And have you, if I look at this thing and say some of you have figured out how the team works right now, meaning we're here internally, our team's a pay-as-you-go model. We just don't know where the go is. And so that's a very tough model to keep an infrastructure, a building, a training center, those types of things. And so I'm just going to report this and not hang anybody out to dry on this question unless you want to jump on it. But do you have a financial model that works right now? And 55% of you said you figured something out, and I'd say that's kind of where we're at. And where we're at says that there's 30 less employees work for our company. Those are the hard answers of the 65 people we have. We're at 35 full-time equivalents. My guess is that our industry in general has got a real challenge to keep careers going. But clubs, by their very nature, and the fact that we've made them annual type structures, this is a challenge right now. So sometimes, not admitting where you're at, it will get you in trouble with your parents and your kids. And I just say, we had to have a come to Jesus meeting with our parents and say, we got no way to do extras. Extras are on you. And sometimes you got to bring the sandwich. We don't even have anything to spread on it. And so we've been real clear with this. Any comments, from Jeff? Does this ring a bell to you at all, where you guys are at, or is everything just all good?
I wish we could say everything was all good. We've had some families that have been hit hard by this naturally, as I'm sure a lot of organizations have within our sport and other sports. And right now we're just trying to, get by, and we're trying to be as practical and as compassionate as we can be with everybody, and just trying to run things on a shoestring, and like the schedule is week by week. That's kind of like how finances are right now too. And we're just, we're trying to do what we can to keep things up and running as normal as possible. And so far it's been good. We've been able to get by. And, but we know that we're in different times right now, and we have to understand that. And for the most part, our families have been great, and we're trying to help the ones that are struggling. And I think that's how we're all going to get through this.
And the survivor's approach is
Sometimes the best. If you view it as a boat on the ocean, your job's to get your boat to shore in this storm, and to keep as many people with you as possible in this process. So have you approached your governor, county, city to expedite the return to play? And I've pushed a lot of this out in front of you, and I would say this is real pleasing that 35% of you have endorsed the process of reaching out and helping get us back up. And I would say to anyone that's worried about safety, that's back up safe. That's not back up. That's back up safe. And so we have never taken a stance that anyone's to get back up not safe, meaning our safer process here. So the comments that I got back on utilization of materials, safer field diagrams, have you utilized them? We've got an amazing amount that have used the guidance and protocols. Some of you have written your own letters. Some have used the video that showed the masks on. I think it has had some bearing. Tony, any comments on this in general of return to play and our role as a community to help do this right?
Yeah, I think we were pretty fortunate that we have quite a few people, enough people working in city government and part of different councils, and they have one foot in both places. They're working for the city and understanding the priorities of budgeting and budget cuts and keeping their jobs, but also having kids that play ball. So, we've been able to share protocols. A lot of the stuff that you provided, Dave, our whole organization has it, and a lot of our people that work inside government have taken that to their staffs, and just kind of, again, created a relationship to put us in the right place. So it's been something unique. We've kind of taken your concept and looked at what we had to work with. And again, with not compromising interests, protecting the professional side and us wanting to get back on the field. So, we're there. The voice is there. Could it be louder? Yeah, we've all learned from this as far as the voice that we need to create, right?
Very good. Now, the last question was open content, and I had 300 answers in open content. And I would tell you that 200 of them was, help me open the field so we can practice, or help me open it so we can play. So I'm back to this answer right here. If this is where you're at, and that's your comment, the 200 of you that gave that comment, then this is probably the only time in your life that you'll have to address social activism in some fashion, to where you have to become a voice of safer play, safer return. But I would say then, and the rest of the questions were good questions and common themes from that standpoint. Which were answers: get on the fields, get the county, we need a new governor, Okay, you can see some of these are out there, and believe me, I want to go out there with the rest of you and make off the wall comments. But the reality of it is we need to stay as a profession and remember that our job is to open up. And you can start seeing them come through. Meaning I struggle planning. I got to have some patience. We don't know how to travel. So this will give you a general idea. I'm going to go to our presentation now and give you kind of a concept of where we're at with the basic California Fastpitch summer. And this is guidance, and there's a big difference between guidance and action. Guidance is something you say that you hope the things you're doing will lead to action. So our California version of the 4th of July is canceled. Meaning I have no reason to believe that these things, uncertainty of return time, meaning I don't know how to tell you when we return. Allie and Tony and Travis and everybody we're tied to in California, we're uncertain of the return size gathering, because you guys you're just at the threshold of gathering size definitions and how they're monitored. And you follow other states out, and right now you're right there at that gate of gathering size where somebody says, yes, but. You can have a ball game, but, or and. And so we don't believe, looking at trajectories of other states, that by July 1, after opening for practice in general, that you'd be ready for blanket tournament style or big event games. And the uncertainty of the disease path. I think we got to own this all the time, that it's around us, it's going to be with us, and we've got to handle it. I'm going to go to Jeff on this for a comment and say, Jeff, what's your first reaction when you see something like that? Me making that decision or Triple Crown making that decision?
Right. Well, I think you guys' hands are tied. I think going back to a topic that we were talking about before, you can't just dive in to a big tournament like that without the practice and stuff. And so, as disappointing as it might sound right off the bat, it's understandable. You can understand why you have to make that decision. I mean, right now we're just being in my neck of the woods. We're just able to get permits for fields this weekend, and to try to prepare for a tournament like that against really good competition. It's probably not ideal. So I can definitely understand it. It's disappointing to hear, because I think we're all itching to get back out there and get to some sort of normalcy as it comes to competing at a high level. But I definitely understand. I understand that you have to make that tough call.
Yeah, and when I look at this thing,
Schedule, if we had last minute approval, yes, to some degree, as we have fields on hold. But this would strictly be an ad due to amazing turning guidance from the governor, county, and facility owner. So I'll always hold a caveat out there, but we're to the point to plan a 250-team tournament and to know that we're planning it for a customer that's ready. To plan it is not the prudent thing to say to you right now. So this will give you some certainty of your next moves. Options for California teams. So we have options for transfers into California. When I say transfers, be able to know you want to do this next one that's available and go to it. You could transfer in full to the Zoom, which is scheduled August 7th through 9th. There would be a credit balance, meaning the entry fees are not like. And so there'd be a balance carried over there. You could transfer it full into the Dawn November 2022. Odds get better, with time. Credit balance there. You're in one of the unique marketplace. Tony, would you just kind of describe the market? Meaning here in Colorado we have summer softball season and a high school season. What is the difference between California and everywhere else in America?
Well, we pay for it, but we have weather that allows us to play year round. And so we don't have the high school restrictions that some of these states have that are playing high school ball in the fall, but obviously the weather restrictions that you and I have talked about, Dave. So we have more space to get creative. We're also, again, handcuffed at the kind of the mercy of what's happening with this situation. But, we have more room to work with. So it's really a matter of collaborating, having the right relationship so that, something that I'm excited about is that there's a lot more coaches and organizations working together so that we can collaborate, get creative, and not always just rely on big event companies to provide something for us. So, I think we have that. We have year-round weather, and we just need that call to be able to get out.
The next one is you could transfer to next year. We don't need you to do this. I mean, there was a time where I was going to get down on my hands and knees on a call and say, guys, we need you to do this. We don't need you to do this. If this is something you want to do, it's worth your while to transfer it over. We're closed in Chattanooga, Houston, and Colorado with 472 teams bracketed. That's just sad to not have the heart of softball be able to play on the 4th of July. And so I apologize that we couldn't do anything more on our end. We're bracketing as we speak. In fact, I pulled these two. Allie, why don't you comment on where you're at with bracketing on these two events, these three events?
Yeah, with bracketing right now, Houston and Chattanooga are going to be posting on June 22nd. We're used to having our brackets out by June 1 for this 4th of July event. Luckily, Steph is probably one of the best bracketers in the building, if not the best. And we've been doing this for a really long time, so we're working hard on getting everything out and kind of crunch time for us. So it's definitely a different situation, and we could turn it around if we got a yes on Monday from California to push something out for 200 teams, but it's pretty tight.
Okay, the other choices that we have are the TC USA Championships, which we took Portland and moved it to Reno. But I'll tell you, it's got a caveat. We still don't have the green light from Reno. We expect it July 1, but all signs point that way. So this has a little bit to do with our California decision. We know Nevada's opened. We know they're playing some scrimmages. We know some things, and yet we don't know we can play a tournament there. And so, but we're highly likely to play, and every political interest that's there says this is going to get a green light. And it will end in time for people to get back to PGF, and we can move quickly on this too. Our Arizona Fall Showcase, November 6th through 8th, has been a great choice. I think you're going to see us really roll that Arizona weekend out strong as a cornerstone for the fact that you guys really have a great fall season, and most people don't. And then the Las Vegas City of Lights, which is more of a mid-tier event for teams that want to be seen by smaller colleges. We have 2 sessions. It's been packed in the past. I imagine we'll expand capacity if we need to, but we'll spread them out in good guidance. Store credits. This is a word I didn't even know we had. We got store credits now, which means we have a transfer, we have refunds, we have 21 transfers, but we have store credits. So refunds, 20% is off for administration, so we can cut a check now. Submit via email to the Triple Crown director of that event. Send in writing what you want to do for credits. If you don't know what you're going to do, we're going to put you in the credit pool. So you don't talk to us, you're going in the credit pool. Is that correct or not, Steph?
Yes, that is correct. If we don't hear from you by a certain date, we'll just put it into credit, and we'll be sending every team that was signed up for the California 4th of July event an email after this.
We recommend leaving it in store credit and then deciding where to apply. My accountant informed me today for this talk, please don't have them bounce from one to one to one. Next, put it over here, and when they're sure they're going to come and we're sure we're going to have it, then let's move it from store credit into actuality. Our Reno Championship approval pending from the state. It does have all age groups, 10s, 12s, 14s, 16s, and 18s. It starts on July 20. It ends on the 25th. You'll have time to make PGF. Our Zoom has been rescheduled for the 7th through 9th, but it still needs approval. And our Dawn, if we lost August 7th through 9th, we're working on a Labor Day option, which would combine the Zoom and 4th of July into a combo. Whether it's called Zoom-Rado, we're not sure, or somebody else came up with something, I can't remember it. but I'm sure they'll have a good name for it. We have it open enough for 200 teams to go into that if we lost the 7th through 9th. So that's us. Our options for San Diego, if we did get San Diego up, we have a lot of demand for it for 16s and 18s. People could transfer in. It could be played one. I'm looking for July 1 decision on it. If not, transfer in full to Reno. Again, these are 2 unapproved events, but both have more chance than not. Meaning Reno better, San Diego, as you can say from San Diego, better, but not fully there yet. And then transfer in full to Arizona or Las Vegas are options, and then transfer to 2021. We're going to retain the 16s and 18s in this event there for next year. We're not rotating. Colleges in attendance. We have the talk last week. I don't see any change in guidance here. D3, NAI, and JUCO, they'll be the fixture. So if you're coming to an event and your kids are expecting to see coaches at events, this is the fixtures that are going to be there. They'll likely report on. If they're watching or spotting kids or have a relationship with a higher level team, they're probably going to report on. D1 likely is to see additional challenges. You won't like the next sentence. Limitations could be extended through the entire fall. And that's the backdoor rumor that it's not just adding August. It's that we've got all kinds of issues of sending a coach off and bringing them back, following a campus-wide 14-day quarantine, which means that I go out for a weekend, then I sit for 2 weekends and go back out again. I would just tell you the Division I world for this year is going to be the most challenged world we've been in. And so their eyes and ears are going to be the smaller colleges that they've worked with, that their former players are on rosters, meaning creativity will be a new norm for them as well as us. And DT will actually get a quiet period if this happens as well for D1. Meaning they inherited the quiet period, or the dead period became their quiet. Their quiet meant they couldn't sit in the bleacher and watch. They could do developmental work. So they lost all of July to actually watch games. And so developmentally, camps and things of that nature, they're still game. Series events run by California Triple Crown and Travis. He has returned to play safely. We'll offer games in July weekends if facilities are able to play it at time and safe. We'll be ready for a variety of formats to offer gameplay once facilities are able to open in any fashion. And he'll do it with protocols, meaning look at leagues, exhibition games, matchup games, round robin. He's captured and contracted facilities and is going to offer any kind of combinations he can. Refunds and transfers, full credit across for any 2020s to another 2020. Travis will refund full transfers due to the COVID. If you do ask for a refund, same program, 20% reduction. College sports eval, we have got our division up for 14s and 18s. This is for individuals, meaning we've managed to get those up in a camp style, instructional style format. Go to cseval.com for our dates. Events with college coaches that can be there are D2, D3, NAI, and JUCO and instructional. To find your level of play for your kids, notes on your skills for the kids, next steps for them. Events are going on today. We're testing an event in Arizona, and we've got one coming up next week in NorCal. Northern California directors Lindsay Platt and Kim Enzi's handling SoCal for us. So that's our CSE individual eval events. Be prepared for protocols. I mean, guys, you saw our video, what we had to do up here, and the county health department and the state said, you can take the mask off now, it's okay. But we started with the mask on. We let them take it off. And so I know there's a lot of, it's free, it's America, but I'm just telling you, let's play ball, and then they'll help us fit what we need to do. Distancing is always there and tough to challenge. Hardest thing I got right now when we play games, my girls haven't seen each other in a long time. And we started with the masks on and far apart, and the minute we let those masks come off, it was like a magnet that pulled them in. And so I'm breaking up. I feel like I'm managing a boxing fight, and I'm going in the middle and with my mask on and saying, go to your corners. And we're going to have to remember that they are socially challenged right now. That's their biggest issue. So distancing will be a challenge. And with your parents, they got little social packs, and you're going to have to break them up. Look for them wherever they're at. But those are the two things I've seen on distancing. The ball game itself, I think most of you heard me say, I called the governor and said we got it solved. We created a new game called social distancing. The people are so far apart they can't even stand it. We gave them a bat and a ball, and we called it baseball and softball. And the reality of it is that our game itself is that far apart, and our moments are so small where we're actually within 6 foot. So the game is fine. It's the crowds and the transitions and the dugouts that we got to watch. Mask, be prepared. Sick is sick, stay home. And then contact tracing will be the future. So these are the big 5 that you need to manage. You need to know who's at your facility, and that's rosters of the roster can find the parent. So if you got a roster of a kid that was there, you can find the parent and contact tracing. The list you'll have to keep is what staff was there and what field staff was there for contact trace. You do that, and you're golden with the future of where this disease is going to go into contact tracing. We're very safe in distance game, but you still must be vigilant. We got a lot of disease left to go here, guys. Play when you can, but demand the organizers do it right. Help the industry get up. Help the new California League get up. And Tony and Mike and you guys that are involved in that. Help PGF. I mean, all of us are, however we deal with whatever we deal with, we're all just trying to organize ball. Figure out how to get UTRIP, ASA, and other governing bodies going. Help the independents. Our Triple Crown run by Travis. But our goals is we need to play. Our gals need to play. And so simply put, we're in this thing together in a way we've never been, and we need to keep talking, not stop talking. We don't need to start playing and stop talking. We need to start playing and keep talking, and we're going to stay up. Thanks for being on. It's been very hard to deliver any type of certainty to all of you. There's no other way to explain that. I'd like to come on and say, this is what we know, and we just don't know that much many times. And you deserve better communication and tools to plan. So thank you very, very much. Play ball safely. Thank you guys for being our guests today. I appreciate your input a lot. Okay.
Thank you, Dave.
Thank you, Dave.
Thank you, Dave.